Hello everybody, welcome back to Push and Paint. Some good news, the show down in Shipshewana, the craft show, was my first ever. It went really well. I sold 11 paintings out of 30 that I brought with me, which was every painting I had so far, and I think that's a pretty good result. I was hoping to sell all of them, of course, but I was just basically hoping for 30% of my stock, which would be exactly what I sold, plus one extra. So that's awesome. Thank you everyone that came out, and thank you everyone for supporting me through all of this thing. The YouTube channel is getting bigger. I gave out a whole bunch of business cards at the craft show, and my subscriber count has gone up. We were at 90 something, and then we hit 100 subscribers. I gotta find out some kind of graphic or something I can put on the video to make a celebratory thing. Yay, 100 people! So that means 100 people at least enjoy watching me do this stuff. And now, actually, a day and a half later, we're at 112. So we're moving. That's awesome. Thank you, everyone. Let's keep it going. I'm gonna try really hard to get a painting and a video done every 2 weeks. Work makes that tough sometimes, but I'll try my best. So hopefully everybody enjoys watching. Today I thought, well, what I'm going to get started, it's midnight or so, but what I'm going to get started is a barn painting. Now, it's not going to be just a barn, it's going to be a nice little farm, a nice pretty sky, but I saw a sky that I was driving when I was driving the other day, and it just struck me as very cool springtime / also could be fall. Well, either way, it was just a really cool cloudy sky with some really pretty sun rays coming in, and this nice yellow fields and green trees. And of course the trees aren't green yet, but I'm going to use my imagination to make them green, because I think that just gives a nice contrast between that gray sky having the really brilliant colors show up. And we're going to look for a nice big barn right in the foreground or mid-ground of the painting, but it's going to be big enough that it's going to take up most of the space. It's going to be the subject. And then we'll see what else we can come up with. Definitely some close-up stuff that looks pretty cool. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. But anyway, maybe if I can get to 500 subscribers, I'll do some kind of giveaway or something. I should probably do one at 100, but I don't really know what to give away other than a painting. So, and I give away plenty of paintings. Anyhoozle, let's keep this whole thing going. If you like following along and painting with me, grab your stuff. If you just like watching, buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Now, it's probably going to be a smooth ride, because you probably fall asleep half the time if you're watching me. So, enjoy the soothing ramblings of me. And let's push some paint. Okay, guys, I apologize again, because you're probably going to hear my 3D printer in the background, because I'm printing myself a brush holder, because my workstation just looks like an absolute mess. And I'm really having trouble keeping things straight, so I just want to have all my brushes, standing up in a row and stuff, so I can at least sort of look and pick one out, and that's probably important. My big 2-inch brushes and stuff I'm not too worried about, but the little brushes, like if I want to find a liner brush, I don't need to look through a big pile. I should have them sort of sticking there. So anyway, that's probably what you're hearing in the background, but don't worry, I won't put too much of myself talking in there. I'll go to some stuff. Anyway, just a quick sky. Now, okay, I can't say a quick sky. This guy's probably going to take a little bit of time, but a little bit of blue, but only in a few little spots. Right, we got a little bit of blue up here. Now I've got some linseed oil and white on the canvas already, but that's about it. And that is just to help this paint move around a little bit. I don't want too much slipping and sliding, because I'm going to have some definition and stuff on there. But these are going to be the spots in between the clouds where you just have these little holes poking through. And those are by no means, you know, exact. I'll go over these and just basically leave myself with some holes when I do the clouds themselves. And then what we're going to see is some relatively normal looking holes up front or up top here, and then as we get further back, we're going further back in our perceptions, so our clouds are stacked on top of each other basically as far as our eye can see. It's basically looking at like a stack of pillows from the top down, so you wouldn't see too many of the holes in between the clouds because you're looking at them from the side almost, you know, you're looking at your horizon line. So lots of big puffy gray clouds, and then we're going to have some fun with some highlights and stuff like that. So let's skip forward a little bit, and you don't have to watch all of this. And I'm going to switch up the color here and go in with the clouds and put those in between, and then we'll do some highlighting and shading and all kinds of stuff. It'll be fun to watch. Okay guys, you can see we've got our sky pretty much all done here. I've got my holes where the light's coming through. Now later on I'm going to add some sun rays coming down through that, and that'll be once everything's all said and done. I'll start adding those in. But now we're going to work on something you've seen before, so I'll just speed through it. We're going to do a nice little tree line back here. I'm going to have a interrupted space because we're going to do an old barn right here. That's sort of our mid-ground, right? And that's going to be the tree line right in the background here, the barn right here, and then just a nice open wheat field, old grass kind of field that's still kind of dead and beat up, coming forward to our little track going through it. And we'll work our way to that. So we're going to start with the trees and we'll get those put on there. So I hope you're enjoying it so far. Keep on watching, we'll see what shows up. Okay guys, well, I kind of skipped over that part right there because I didn't think it would be that interesting to watch. It was just me basically painting a whole bunch of tiny details. I don't know if I'm happy with the perspective or not. That's one of the tricky parts, is trying to get 2-point perspective, which if you graph it out and draw it all nice and pretty with a bunch of lines, it can be done. But then you got to paint it. So either way, basically this was me with a liner brush going over and over and over this barn, and now I'm going to add some just barely details to my background here, my field. I've got just a basic mid-tone underpainting. I want this to be fairly bright in the background, and then any darker spots are going to be closer to the foreground. So we're just basically, I've got my palette here. Let's see if I can show you. That's my palette there. So that looks, it's got all the way from a more of a brown and a little bit in the beige, little bits of green in there coming back into the brown, and then to the yellow with the white mixed. And then I'll take little bits of white and put it here on the edge, mix it with that yellow, and I'll get some really nice highlights here just in the background, just to have some rays coming through, some sunlight coming through and hitting certain spots. So it'll show up. And I'm going to be using liquid medium for kind of a glaze to do my shading on there. So basically just mix that right with your paint, and I'm using a fan brush for this, and we're just going to sort of scooch it up like so, and this is going to go all over the background here, and I'm pushing in and pushing up, so that way I get lots of little color variations here and little bits of texture. I don't want this whole background to be just untextured nothing, you know, so make sure I've got lots of liquid in there. I want a good glaze. This will dry relatively quickly with that liquid. It'll dry in about 24 hours. So I'm putting down little bits of darker, and now when I get closer to the barn here, I'm not worried about that too much, because when I get really close, I'm going to do some little liner brush details and stuff that'll make that barn sort of rest in that in that background, you know. Just, we're gonna make it overgrown, kind of like so. Okay, so we're just putting lots of little guys here like this. Just, again, this is gonna give our midground slash background here some character and some texture, and then we'll be able to come through and we'll put some nice bright highlights on certain spots, and we're going to have some sun rays coming down hitting that field. I think that'll be a nice finishing touch. Now once everything's all said and done here, we'll get that going. A little bit of the green in there just to dull that brown out, you know. But I really like the contrasting colors we've got going so far. I think it's turning out pretty well. I'll come way over here, get that guy all the way over there. You see, I'm not too concerned with definition anywhere. You just, and again, my foreground here is all going to be these close-up grasses that you can see lots of little details in. If I think I'm getting too light, I take a bit more of the brown and mix it in with it. I think I'm getting too dark, I take a bit more of the yellow ochre and I put that in there. See, there we go. Nice brown, kind of grassy. Feels like this field just hasn't, this field really hasn't been tended to in a while. That's kind of the look we're going for here. This wild field here. This barn's definitely seen better days, and lots of overgrown grasses. Not really too much in the way of trees, because what you would have underneath this field is well, if you think about it geologically speaking, not too deep under the dirt, there's going to be your bedrock, which is good for fields, but not so good for trees, because trees need a deep root structure to have that anchor. So this field is mostly just big, long, overgrown prairie grasses. They go all the way out here. And keep them going all the way here. You can push up a bit. Again, we're going to come in, we're going to underpaint this foreground just like that. You see how that just adds to the texture of the whole thing. It just gives you that definition, that little bit more detail, you know. And again, I'm just pushing into the painting. You can see that on the other side there, and pushing up. Okay, and every once in a while, take a step back. You know, for me, it's a roll back on my chair, and I take a look at it and say, oh, okay, I like this part, I don't like this part. You know, I want to adjust here, I want to adjust there, and I want to add some more shadow in here. Different things like that. You can hear the dogs crawling around upstairs. Probably getting into things that they shouldn't while I'm down here. That's what they're good at. Alright, so I'll keep working on this just like so. Now let's put it in hyperdrive mode and you guys can enjoy it here. I'm going to add some highlights and then we'll start to, might correct the bottom of this a little bit, just a little bit. I'm going to work on it with some liner stuff and give it some detail and just push it back into that ground so it's not just an object floating in space. And then we'll come up real close here and we'll put our foreground in. So let's do that. Guys, I probably took too many days off from this, but that's okay. It's time to get back to it. Time to get those little details finished up. We got lots of stuff in the front that we are going to work on. All this foreground here, we're going to make this all nice and grassy. Big long things that'll catch the light. And lastly, we'll put some sun rays coming down. But I like how that sky turned out, and then we'll finish it up hopefully today. So I hope you're enjoying it so far, and keep on watching for the conclusion. Okay, guys, I think that's just about it. This is take 2 of the exit because I think I have to remember to look at the camera and not at myself, because I seem to be staring at myself, which probably looks like I'm cross-eyed and I'm staring it off into space. Anyway, so I think this one turned out pretty good. Stormy skies, but gorgeous all at the same time. So, thanks everyone for subscribing so far. I'm up to 115 or so. Thank you so much. Leave a like, comment. Please comment on the videos. Give me some ideas. What do you want to see? What kind of things do you want me to paint? The more people I get, the more wide range of ideas I can get. So let's keep that up. I will reply to your comments, and I will paint as fast as I can, I guess. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you like this one. Be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, keep on pushing paint around.